What's up, guys? Welcome to the Changeover podcast. Before we get going today, we noticed that about 60% of you who watch our videos are not actually subscribed to our channel. So please, it would be a big help to us to get to our goal of 1,000 subscribers by subscribing to the channel. Today's guest is Brandon Holt. Brandon Holt played for USC, played number 1 at USC. He's from California. His career high in the pros is 180 in the world, and his best result was at the US Open last year, where he qualified and beat Taylor Fritz in the first round. I think he also qualified in Australia at the Australian Open this year, so a few big results for him in the pros. We just wrapped up the episode. It's a fun episode, so enjoy it, and thanks for watching. Enjoy the episode. What's up, guys? This is the Changeover podcast. I'm Jody. This is Evan. Today we have a special guest, Brandon. Thank you for joining us.
Of course, happy to be here.
Brandon is with us this week in Champaign Challenger, 75K. Start tomorrow, right, Brandon? You play tomorrow?
Play a qualifier tomorrow, so got an extra day, and excited to go.
Is this your last tournament of the year?
I don't know. I signed up for a tournament in Japan, or 2 in a row, so I don't know if I'll go or not.
Okay. I'm
gonna wait to see how I do here, and I'm like kind of, if I do well here, then I could get into Australia qualies, and if I don't do well, then I don't know if I'm close. I might go to Japan, or I'll just call it a day and not go to Australia.
How's the year been so far? What was it like? This year, what, second year?
Yeah, this is my second year.
Yeah.
It's been kind of like every other year. It's been good at points, and then it's also been tough because I had another injury. I hurt my elbow, so I was out for a few months this year. But, I mean, it started out great in Australia. I qualified and won a round there, and then lost to 5 sets to Bautista Agut. Second time losing up 2 sets to love in the second round of a major, so it's brutal. But yeah, it started out well, and then as the year kind of went on, I started to feel pain in my elbow, and I unfortunately played through it a little bit, which, as you know, happens, when you feel like, oh, I got to keep on playing, and then you keep on playing, and then all of a sudden you can't play anymore.
So that kind of what happened to you too? Like you got to a point where it wasn't possible to play?
Yep. It was kind of there, and then it just was more there, and then really there. I just couldn't play.
Do you usually err on the side of being more cautious for injuries, you think, or do you try to play through everything?
It's funny. I think when I was younger, I was insanely cautious. Like my parents, if I had a hangnail, they'd be like, all right, shut it down. And but then as I'm playing in the pros, I think because you're defending points and you're trying to it's like you're living now, so you always want to push the envelope and be like, all right, let's play again, let's play, because every single week is a new opportunity, which is unique to tennis. It's like you lose, and then the very next week you got another opportunity, and you see it so much. I mean, I have a million examples, but Aiden Mayo last week, or in Charlottesville, he was down a set and a break in qualies, and then he makes finals of the whole tournament, and that happens all the time. Players that, I mean, for me, actually, I was down a set and a break first round qualies of the US Open, and a set in 3.
That was the year you made the run?
Yeah, a set at 3-1, and I think 30 love on the guy's serve or something crazy. And I battled back and then won a round in the main. And the same thing, I was playing Bautista Agut in the first round of Australia, and I was down a set and a break there as well. So, I mean, it's just tiny little changes make a huge difference. And it's easy to say I could have done better, I could have done worse, because tiny little changes I would have been I lost 7-6 in the 5th set of the second round of the US Open. So tiny changes would have put me in the third round, but then tiny changes I would have been out of there the first day. You know what I mean? So that's how tennis is. So yeah.
So in that case, you don't really have that much regret. So look back on these runs, obviously you
more or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you always do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's played matches. Even if you ask people that are retired, and I ask people that are 50, 60 years old that played professional tennis a long time ago, and I talked to Jimmy Arias at the US Open. He has matches that he even remembers still, and I'll still be bummed out. If I'll wake up and be like, damn, I was really close to being third round, and that's something that's you dream of your whole entire life. So of course I regret. Kind of. I don't know if regret is the word. You kind of are just bummed that you were so close. But then, of course, things could have happened to not go that way. I could be injured and had a career-ending injury and not even been able to play. So, I mean, I think having perspective is something that's important because there's been times in my career where I've, finished a match and be like, wow, like all the work that I've put in my whole entire life, giving up whatever it is in high school or in college, getting up early or not going to parties or, being more diligent than I guess you would say than the normal student would have been. There's been many times where I've just finished a match and been like, wow, that was all worth it if my career ends right now. So yeah, everything after that is just a bonus, but you always kind of want more.
So in the run that you made in the U.S. Open, was there any moment in time like during that run, like, because before that U.S. Open, had you played it before, the 2022 U.S. Open?
No, that was my first time. I got a wild card into qualies. I was ranked 300 and something. So
So I guess what I was asking is like, in that run, was there any moment in time where you felt content, or you were always just hungry to keep going and keep going and keep going?
I don't think content or hungry. It was almost just like a take it as it comes. I think, I played juniors there. I grew up going there every single year for probably 20 years. Like since I was a newborn baby, I was in New York because my mom worked at the U.S. Open. And so, I don't know. There's a lot of feelings going on because when you grow up like young, you're like, oh, these guys are, gods. You see them as like the craziest thing ever. And then you're there and you're like I was just in Dominican Republic, like, trying to like brush my teeth with water bottles. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's surreal. And it's not what you expect. Like like I completely expected to be there and be like looking around, taking in all the scenes and being like, this is awesome. I'm playing in the US Open or I'm playing in a Grand Slam and I just went around and blah, blah. But instead you're like, I got to go to sleep because I'm really freaking sore and tired, and like I gotta get food and then massage, and so you're just going and you're always wanting to like put yourself in the best position to win the next round. So there was no time to stop and smell the roses.
So there's a big element of just like a business week, like a normal week. Like maybe some of it's more convenient for you, but like it's more it's still like at the end of the day, it's still a tennis tournament, just like any other tennis tournament that you've played.
Yeah, in some sense, but in some sense, it was completely not a normal week. Like it was like it wasn't normal in that you'd be like how you would think you would feel. Like, oh, this is amazing that I'm at a Grand Slam. It was normal in that you're having to focus on every other match, but there was way more going on. Like media and just people, and it's like it just felt weird to have all these people want to watch you, and then you're somewhere else playing. You're in Cancun, and no one could care less if you're like. The referees are like starting our match when there's like a huge puddle in the middle of the court. Like, I'm gonna break my leg here. Like, what's going on?
That happened to me. I switched courts in the middle of the match because water started coming up from under the court, like into the middle of the court, and I went from playing on like a slow court to a fast court in Cancun. It was like completely different match in the same match. Yeah.
Underground watering on a hard court.
Just stuff happens, right? Like there's so many stories from when you're playing. It's just like you would never expect it. Like, I was cruising in that Cancun. Like I was in the finals. I won the first set like 6-0. I was playing unbelievable, playing against a guy from Mexico. And then for some reason, the supervisor comes on the court and he's like, all right, we need like another linesman. And so they brought in like a 14-year-old kid that started standing on like calling like these lines. And he was standing on the wrong line half the time. And I was like, it's just total momentum changer. It's like, what is going on here? Like, that's not in any rule book ever. Like, you don't just throw a 14-year-old kid on the court and just have the kid start yelling out or in. You know what I mean? And so just like funny stuff like that happens. But yeah, down there, like the court was so wet on the side of the court, and I was playing Kyle Seelig, and we're both looking at each other and like, all right, the court's ready to go. And we're like, the court is not even close to ready to go. And they're like, the referee's like rubbing his foot on the
He's
court.
doing the one where
like,
it sticks. On the court's very slick, but he just go like, and the foot doesn't move.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny. So but what kind of distractions did you have at the U.S. Open? So you talked about some of the distractions in, at Cancun and stuff, but like you felt that at the U.S. Open too?
Just I would say like people, and so I think there's like a lot of people pulling you in different directions that you're not used to. The easy thing about the smaller tournaments is that you play your match and then there's not that much to worry about. It's like, all right, where am I going to eat? But then there it's media and it's messages, and your phone has so many messages, and I spent so much time like trying to respond to people that, there's so many people that mean a lot to you in your life that follow you and always send you text messages, and then an extra 80% of them send you messages congratulating you, and you want to get back to everyone. That's, you know, I care about everyone, and so you're just at some point I had to just put my phone away and be like, I'll respond to these people at the end, and just stuff like that where, you know, you're put in different situations that you're never used to, you know.
Did you feel? Do you think you felt more pressure because so many people were like messaging and checking in, and you know they're all watching and stuff?
Maybe. I think there's like a lot of different inputs that made you feel extra pressure. You know, like you're playing for a lot of points, you're playing for a lot of money, you're playing for almost you're playing for what you've like dreamed of playing for. You know what I mean? You're playing for something that could change your career and things like that. So in a lot of ways, every single thing was heightened. Yeah. And then in some ways it was actually less because, you know, you're not you're playing against an amazing player, for example, so you can play a little bit more free, A, and B, you know you have to play more free in order to beat, you know, a player like Taylor who is 12 in the world, just won Indian Wells, beat Rafa Nadal, and so you're like, if I play the way that I play in some of these matches where, you know you can just beat the guy cross court, just hitting forehands cross court, backhands cross court, angle him around and try and out steady the guy, that's not going to work there. So you really have to like step out of your comfort zone and play the way that that you play almost when you're free in practice. And so yeah, there's more pressure, and then there's also like a freedom to knowing that if you don't play with freedom, you don't win. So
do you feel like in that match against Taylor Fritz, like you knowing him since you guys were young, and I guess you would have played him a bunch of times like when you were younger, do you feel like that helped you at all, like, you know, when the draw came out or in the match, just to know that you've played him and you know his game so well?
In some ways, yes, I think so. I think I practice with him all the time at the USTA in Carson. So to know what that level is, and knowing that I, you know, not that I beat him all the time in practice or anything, you know, he's unbelievable. But
you
like
can say it.
No, not at all. Like, you know, he wipes the floor with me a lot of times in practice, but to know that there is that chance, you know what I mean? Where it's like, it seems like a lot of players, you know, if they're going up against these players, it's like it's lost before they even walk onto the court, because they're on the court and they're thinking, oh, I got to do something insane because I watched this player win this tournament on TV, you know, however long ago. But to kind of know Taylor's game and know his limitations and also his strengths and all that stuff, I think helped me.
Nice. What was it like growing up with your mom being such a big figure in professional tennis? Like, did you have any experiences that would have helped you or hurt you at a younger age, like growing up with a person like that in your life?
Yeah, I mean, I think going to all these tournaments and seeing how it was, and seeing all the people playing, I think that's probably an experience that's helpful to kind of see from a young age and be comfortable around tennis. And but I don't know really. It's hard to answer this question whenever people ask, because it's like I don't know anything different. You know what I mean? Like, if I had a parent that played nothing, you know, like, or didn't do anything, then that's all I would know. You know what I mean? And so I only know my mom as that, and I only know my dad as that. And so to say that I feel more pressure is tough, or less, because it's just the only thing that I've had. But, you know, my brothers played tennis as well. We played all sports. I didn't only play tennis. And I think that my mom being so good at tennis, she also learned how difficult it is probably. So it was huge for my parents to kind of make sure that we all got a good education, were well-rounded in other sports, and that was a huge reason why I went to college probably. So just because, I mean, statistically it's tough. You know, all three of us are trying to, you know, be as good as we possibly can be, and there's not room for everyone. You know what I mean? So so everyone does the best they can, but to have a backup plan, I think, was important, and that's probably one of the biggest things that I realized is that she kind of knew the difficulty, how many people she grew up playing with that were all so good. I mean, there's stories that she says of like, this person was insanely good at tennis, like in every way, shape, and form, on track to be one of the best players. And then, you know, you see them now and they had some injury or they had something happen, you know.
So what's the biggest thing you take from that, like from these kind of stories about hearing about how many good players they were back in the day?
It's hard. It's really hard to be a professional, you know, top at anything that you do, you know, be it business, you know, tennis, any sport. It's just there's not very much room for everyone, and everyone wants one common goal. So yeah, a little bit of luck is probably involved in a lot of it.
And then you decided to go to USC. Were you considering any other schools or no?
Yeah, I considered hanging out with Evan at UCLA.
Hanging out. Yeah, we're just hanging out.
Yeah, we were just gonna hang out at UCLA. It came down to Stanford, UCLA, and USC. So I was kind of deciding between those three schools. Those were the only schools that I really took a serious visit to. I don't know. I think I probably just wanted to stay in California, and then ended up going to USC, and I absolutely loved it. It was, I mean, my best friends are all my teammates. Peter Smith did an insanely good job of keeping everyone close. So, I mean, I miss college tennis like crazy. I miss USC like crazy, and all the relationships that I made there.
Did you play 4 years there at USC?
Yeah, I did. Although 2020 was my senior year, so it got a little less than 4 years because it got cut in half. We were actually number one in the country. It was our best team that I'd been on so far, and we won indoors, and then it got cut. So
what you didn't take the 5th year then?
No, I didn't end up taking the 5th year, and I actually got injured right then too. So
that was the wrist, right?
That was like the back of the hand.
Okay.
So. Yeah, I mean, COVID came, and obviously no one knew how long it was going to last. I was eager to start playing professional tennis, and COVID lasted longer than, well, I don't know if it lasted longer than people expected. It just lasted, I could have gone to a 5th year at USC, but I would have been injured anyways. And so I basically ended up starting playing after COVID was kind of almost on the tail end. I went to Tunisia. Okay. Which was a grind. And then I played 3 weeks there or 4 weeks there. I forget how many, but kind of almost right away I started feeling pain in my hand, and then I wasn't able to play for another 8 months after that. So I rested all of COVID, or not rested, but I didn't play any tournaments all of COVID. Played 3, didn't play for 8 months, and then came back and started playing in 2022. And then towards the end of 2022 had some injuries. Then this year at the beginning started well, and then had some more injuries. So I've almost been injured more than I've been playing since college, which is a bummer. But
we had a question from Justin actually, because so you had the hand injury when you had surgery, and then was the Cancun trip right after that? Was that your first trip back, the Cancun trip where you won like 15 straight matches?
Yeah.
So Justin was curious about this. He said what he wants to know was it difficult for you to like come back right away with a very high level? Did you feel like you had to work your way back up to how you like your normal level, or what you felt is your normal level?
I didn't know what my normal level was. I mean, I was out for 8 months, so like it's hard to say where I felt like I should have been, because I hadn't played tournaments in a while. So it was pretty wild, because I was going down there without much expectations. First time in Cancun, I was like, oh my god, I've heard crazy stories about this place. I was ready to probably die. I was ready to die. I was like, I'm gonna die at a career high down here. So I started playing, and it was going well. I mean, but like I said, there was matches that were really tough. I won a 3-setter barely. Like I think the first match that I was there, I was super tight, because there's a different tightness when you're playing those futures in the middle of nowhere, right? It's like, if you lose, you're sitting around in a place that you don't enjoy at all, and so it's
like a whole week waiting for the next one. Yeah,
exactly. Like a whole week of that is way worse. And I also learned that on the court, it's kind of the only place that us as tennis players really know. So no matter where you are, once you're on the court playing, it's like, all right, like this place is familiar. I can do what I've been doing my whole life. So playing on a court here or playing on a court in LA or anywhere, it kind of feels the same. But when you go home, it does not feel the same at all. When you're eating food,
where were you staying?
When you're eating, it does not feel the same.
Where'd you stay in Cancun?
I stayed on site, yeah.
Okay.
On site in Cancun. But yeah, I won 15 straight matches, and obviously that was not.
Oh, I was one of those.
Yeah, I saw your score just now. I was doing some research. Yeah. Doing some research. I saw you got the 1-1.
Yeah.
I played really well against Evan. I remember that. But I was probably playing free, because I was a lot of matches in, and going into that, it was basically like I signed up for 3 weeks, and like, let's see how it goes, and let's hope that we're not in pain, right? Like, I mean, when I came back, I couldn't pick up a red solo cup. Like, my hand wouldn't like do anything. Like, if that makes sense.
Why
Like,
you went to Red Solo
Yeah,
Cup?
why
Like-
you picking up Red
Why
Solo
not just a
Cup?
water bottle? You went to Red Solo Cup.
Very specific.
Yeah,
huh?
exactly. That's true. That's true. I couldn't pick up a calculator.
Okay.
But yeah, I literally couldn't lift anything. I couldn't even make a fist. And so eventually I started playing, and it was like every single thing kind of hurt no matter what. It was like a stiff feeling of not, it was weird. Like your hand was not your hand. And so even playing, you were hitting with like a lot of precaution. And so when I went to play, it was kind of like, all right, I've been practicing like long enough and it feels all right, but it doesn't feel perfect. And so let's just go down there and do the best that you can and kind of get some matches under your belt. And I started winning. I won the first one, and then I won the second one, and then in the last one I started to kind of feel tired, obviously, in my hand. I played 15 matches, and I played doubles actually, which was stupid. In some of them I played some doubles, and towards the end of that third tournament, it was like from the semifinals on, it was like, if you lose a set, just pull out, because I can't play like a 3-set match. And so like I didn't tell anyone that, obviously, but I won, in straight sets, fortunately. But it was not something that I wasn't super excited to go play in the semifinals or finals, because I was also thinking, oh no, like if I go play, and like what's the point of even winning these tournaments if like I'm just gonna be out again? You know what I mean? Because they cut 1/4 of my bone out of this.
So what exactly happened?
So I had what's called an osteoid osteoma, which is basically like a
You just
bone.
said crazy words, bro.
You don't know what that is?
Yeah, how do you not know that?
In layman's terms, I like could not go like this. So every volley, every single time that I like basically went like this, I was in excruciating pain, and it got to a point where there was like a bump right here.
Okay.
And so even if I got up and just went for a jog, I would feel like a heartbeat in my hand. So I couldn't actually do anything. And not that it was like the doctor's fault, but it's like a very rare thing to have in your hand. So I rested a bone spur for like 4 weeks. It turned out not to be a bone spur. I rested a stress fracture because I got more scans. Then, 8 weeks into that, I'm like, it's been 8 weeks. I'm supposed to be good, and my hand hurts like crazy right now. Like, this is not working. It's like 7.5 weeks in. I'm like, is this thing miraculously going to get better in 2 days?
In like 3 or 4 days, it's gonna be completely healed.
Yeah, exactly. So then I got more scans, and they found this, and I had to cut out a piece of the bone, and it was like that was like the most scary part. It was almost, a stress fracture heals. I've had stress fractures before, and a bone spur heals. But like when they tell you it's something that maybe doesn't heal, that's a pretty scary conversation when you've been playing for your whole life and you're just now trying to get your professional career started. And so once they found that, the doctor was like, all right, we can do this like procedure where they basically burn it and you're good in like 5 days. I was like, okay, that's unbelievable. And I went to that guy, and he was like, there's a 50% chance I burn your tendon in half and you're never able to play again. And so I was like, I walked out of there like, okay, like what? And so then I go back to their doctor and say, all right, we got to do it the old-fashioned way, and basically like, cut it out. So they basically cut my hand, and I don't know what they did, sawed or chiseled. I don't know how they cut a bone out, but they cut out 1/4 of my bone, and they repacked it with fake bone. And so for the first however long, even while I was in Cancun, for that, it's way more at risk of fracturing again, because it's not it takes a long time to heal. So that was scary, but yeah, that's the long-ish story of that injury.
And since then, it's been good?
I haven't felt any pain in it since.
That's good.
Knock on wood.
And is that something that can come back, or is that one of those things where now it's fixed, it's good?
No, yeah, once it's fixed, it's good.
It's good.
Yeah.
So we're cooking now.
So we're cooking now, but the elbow wasn't cooking for a little bit.
Okay.
The shoulder wasn't cooking, so the whole body's got to keep cooking.
I feel that. Did you have any pressure? So after you had the Cancun run, you got a bunch of points there, relative, right? Mm-hmm. And then that year is when you have the U.S. Open run, so you get a bunch of points there, and then you start playing bigger tournaments. I guess you play some challenges and stuff. Next year, which is this year now, did you have pressure to defend those points, or what was your perspective going into the next season after you had such a good year before, going into Australia this year and then throughout the rest of the year?
Yeah, I think naturally you kind of think about that in the back of your head, but you can't defend points if you're not able to play. And so there was times where I just wasn't able to play, and you're like, all right, there goes more points, there goes no points, and you're just sitting at home, trying to heal. So I think it's a different situation if you were to my ranking is obviously dropped, but it's different if I couldn't defend anything because
okay.
and I was healthy the whole time. But it's like, I mean, I still had decent results this year, but I was a chunk of it not.
Oh,
playing.
so you missed weeks this year because
this
of
week's I
the
missed
injury.
basically from. So I went to Korea and my elbow was hurting. I played the French qualies injured. I took a month off. Played Wimbledon. Tried to play Wimbledon injured. Took another month and a half off. And
Okay.
I ended up getting multiple shots in my elbow. So yeah, it was tough again, like with the injuries. But yeah, you definitely think about that, and also you think about like after Australia, you're starting to play tour events, and you're like, oh, this is way better. This
It's better than Cancun.
is way better than these futures in like the Dominican Republic. So you want to stay there. And fortunately, I had some good wins, played some good matches. But yeah, I mean, I think that I can get back there if I can stay healthy.
Yeah. I lost my train of thought. Okay. Outside of tennis, we saw that you play the guitar, you play sports, you like to hike and stuff. Is that kind of what you're into off the court?
Fishing.
Yeah, fishing.
What tournament was it?
Hiking.
After some tournament, I saw you go and you said you put your phone away and you just went fishing or went like.
Oh yeah, up to Montana. Yeah, just put the phone away and went fishing and stuff. I love the outdoors, so like anything outdoors. I really like that kind of detaching. I have this like thing about the phone where I think the phone is just I don't know. I hate the phone. Like I love the phone so much that I hate the phone. You know what I mean?
I do.
And I think that people get like addicted. Like I swear my dad's addicted to Instagram. Like he'll be sitting there and he'll just be like cracking up laughing, like outside somewhere. And you're like, what's he laughing at? And he's like on like Instagram, just like he'll send you like a reel of the funniest thing ever.
So did you just turn your phone off and then just go? What did you do?
So I basically learned the guitar because I was on my phone like too much. By too much, I mean like probably as much as everyone else. But I was like, I'm not bettering myself at all, but I just sitting on Instagram all day. And so I actually rolled my ankle and I was like, I kind of like music. I'll just go buy a guitar. So I bought like a cheap guitar, started like every time that I was going to go to my phone to just waste time, I just started playing guitar. And then I got like decent at guitar. I'm not like unbelievable at guitar at all, but I like playing guitar. I love music and stuff. I'm learning piano now. I'm trying to learn Spanish, but I suck at Spanish.
How do you learn Spanish without the phone? What do you do?
Huh?
How do you learn Spanish without the phone?
Well, that you have to like.
I
try and watch like SpongeBob and Dora the Explorer, but it's insane. It's literally like the worst thing ever. So like I can't watch Dora anymore. It's just it's way too boring. You're sitting there like, this is the worst storyline I've ever heard. They're trying to find like a fake star in a tree.
In it for us. He's in it for the storyline, not the Spanish.
So I'm trying to learn Spanish. I don't know. I have this thing where instead of wasting time doing something useless, I like to try and better myself in different random things. So yeah. So like when I'm sitting by myself in the hotel room, I do other stuff than sit on my phone. I still sit on my phone, not all the time, but.
Speaking of which, does the so I mean I guess I kind of feel this way now because we play matches and then at the end of the day come home you're doing nothing. But now that we started this business with the podcast, it's taken a lot of time, like a good distraction I feel like from tennis because we still learn and we still enjoy the process and stuff. But for you, like, has the tennis channel thing, what is it? The
My Tennis Life.
I've been My Tennis Life for 2 weeks, so that was pretty fun.
Oh, it was only for 2 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So how did it go? Like, what was it? What did you have
basically,
to do?
you film kind of the behind the scenes of what a tennis player does. I think that a lot of people, when they watch tennis, they only see you on the court, right? Or they see you in an interview afterwards, but they don't see any of this, right? They don't see, Evan and I going to Outback Steakhouse a few days ago and crushing some massive steaks, right? Like they don't see any of that. So it's kind of just trying to see the behind the scenes stuff of what tennis players do.
So how come you only did it for 2 weeks? Isn't it like a
season-long
thing?
I think they changed it. I think they did a few where they did like really long, like a whole season, and then I think now they're doing like individual weeks and stuff. So
I was wondering if you got the short end of the stick. They give you a little feel to see.
They're like 2 weeks in, like, all right, this guy's.
Yeah. This guy's not cutting it.
Yeah, we don't want this guy.
Way too boring.
All he does is play guitar.
Yeah, exactly.
And watch Dora in Spanish. All right, we have a few Instagram questions. So the first one is from Henry. How do you handle the pressure and expectations from being a rising star? Do you even feel like you have?
I don't know if I handle it or not. I have no idea. I don't know. I guess I don't take input from what other people think. I think that it's a internal struggle to try and be as good as you can. So when I think about my goals, I think there's like zero of it is predicated on how other people expect me to do or how other people want me to do. I think it's all an internal drive. So, if I don't do well, then I'm kind of like, oh, it sucks. I didn't do well, but I must have done something not good enough. Or if I do well, then it's like, that's great that I did something well and I can keep on going. But I don't think that any of it is based on how other people think.
Okay.
Even though there's a lot of Instagram haters out there. I kind of like
quite a lot today.
Evan's phone went crazy today.
Yeah,
no way.
Got a lot today.
Yeah, in the close matches, sometimes it's just brutal.
No, I think they gave up on me. I don't get that many anymore.
The best are the ones when they're like, they hate you and they start cussing you out, and then their friend like hops on, they're like, yeah, like this guy, blah, blah, blah. And then you actually end up like winning. And so it's like, you were up like 5-2 and now it's like 5-6. You suck, like quit tennis forever. And then the guy's like, let's go, you won the set. Like, it's like one thing later, you're sitting there like scrolling on your phone like, wow, these people are insane.
We had a funny one today. I didn't tell you. The funny one today was, so on the Instagram page, so we have a partnership with Pro Stringer. So Ruben Statham is who owns Pro Stringer, I guess. So like a couple weeks ago, I guess he lost a match, and we have like on Instagram we have a collab with Pro Stringer on one of our posts. So I see like, Ruben Statham so trash, blah 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 blah, talking about Ruben Statham, and I guess I wasn't paying attention. Normally I delete them, but I just didn't delete this one. And then today you played. And then they came to the same post and the same response. They said, also, Evan's just trash too. So 2 people are getting burned on the same post. I was like,
the double whammy on the post that's not even.
That's 2 birds, 1 stone.
Yeah, that's so funny. And people that like don't understand it, like some of like even like family friends, sometimes they'll like they think that this is like some real person that I actually know that just is hating on me, and so they'll start commenting back at the guy. Like this one guy who's like my parents' friend, like a family friend, and he's like 60 years old, and he's like, go back to your mom's basement. And he starts like chirping the guy. Like, it's like our family friend. I'm like, just leave him alone.
Have you ever responded?
I don't think I've ever responded. No.
You?
I don't think.
I'm kind of tempted to respond, but I just don't want to get in trouble for saying something insane because I'm like equally as crazy as those people. Like
equally as crazy. I think Zeke on Twitter one time responded. For me, defending me, it was nice of him. But some guy was, I don't know, someone was talking about me like never being able to make it or something like that.
No, I remember what it was. It was the year. What was it? The beginning of last year, you started doing well on clay. Like you maybe did some runs in the 15 and 2 semis of 25s, and then was Kazakhstan on clay too?
Clay, yeah.
So you sent me the challenger there. So you're doing well on clay, and then they started talking about how bad you were on clay.
Yeah.
It's like, how about you just look at the guy's records and see he's destroying people on clay.
Yeah, that's funny.
All right, let's go to the next question from Zach on Instagram. What should junior players focus on when looking to improve to the level of the pros? That one is tricky, I feel like.
Yeah, that's tough.
Very
I don't. There's like so many aspects. It's scheduling. It's obviously fitness. There's so many different things, right? Being professional probably is really important. I think that there's, like I said previously, there's so many players that I can think of from juniors and stuff that were just so good at tennis, right? It's kind of crazy. Like I find myself sometimes being like, I was like such a dork and like a loser, like I was doing like fitness at the USTA, and I was always kind of like, all right, go do some reps over there, Brandon. Like you can jump like 8 inches in the air. Like I was doing like the fitness tests, and I was last place in everything. It's like, all right, like throw the med ball and like throw it like 4 inches, and everyone else is like a freak. And there's so many kids that were so good early that like everyone was like, oh my god, this is like
next
the guy.
big thing. Yeah,
and then all of a sudden I'm like kind of like, why am I the one that's like somehow like doing like decent? You know what I mean? Like somehow did better than them. But it's also cool to see that other players that, like Keegan Smith, I grew up going to Carson with him, and he was also kind of like, we were definitely less, not committed, but we were like having fun. We were like young kids having fun, like we'd like twirl the racket, like probably have like ADD or something like that. We're like twirling the racket when it's like 15-all and it's like 5 p.m. and like we really don't care that much if we win this set, and like the other kids like doing like the like. He's like toweling off, and it's like 50 degrees, and he's not even sweating, and he's like bouncing the ball 14 times, and like they would always get mad at us for like throwing the racket, and like Keegan and I are like the ones that somehow like made it through. I don't know what the reason is, but if you're a young kid, like I have no clue like what makes.
There's an aspect to that to like not get burnt out so soon.
That's
true.
True.
Like that could be part of it. Like you have so many of these guys who were so good at a young age that when you see them now, they don't look genuinely happy. Like they don't look happy because they tried so hard at such a young age. They pushed so hard that it doesn't become fun. Like the process is not fun. So you have to actually enjoy it and like balance that. Who you are on the court is not how your life should be off the court. You should separate it and not let that come into your everyday life. But I think there's so many different things like that come into it. Like obviously, like you said, discipline, but you don't want to get burnt out, so you have to balance that. And then like if you're having too much fun, maybe you're not paying attention and actually learning like good technique and good like values and that sort of stuff. So
yeah, it's a tough balance because there's so many kids that, like you said, that were like so focused at a young age and they're so good, and then but now they like hate tennis and they are totally lost in life. And
probably still very good tennis players, but you know, emotionally and mentally just not in the right place to put out good results consistently, I feel like.
Right. And I don't know how to be a tennis parent, because if you're like a tennis parent, 0.001% is like, the top player, and like there's thousands and thousands that like don't get there, but that have this that same almost drive, and they said, all right, like you're gonna do it, and they like were like a million billion% in, and then they just now are like not nothing, but they don't even play tennis, or they can't. So like the well-roundedness, I think for me was huge. Like there's zero chance that I would have continued playing tennis if I was like put on a path from 6 years old of being like, you are going to be number one in the world. And maybe if I was put on that path, there's like a tiny chance that I would have been a million times better than I am right now. But there's also a good chance that I totally just burned out. And so, my parents did like an amazing job of making sure that I enjoyed other sports, and it wasn't really about development until I was much older, and it was my own choice. Like not until literally high school, I was like, all right, I'm gonna really make this my thing, and I want to do this for a living, and this is like what I'm completely passionate about. Before that, it was like going with my brother. I played high school tennis. It was just like, this is something that's fun. It's with my friends. We're playing like 3-on-3. We're playing butts up, for practice. And we'd play like butts up all day and play from the net to the service line. And we hit people so hard that it was like scary. Like the only thing worse would be like net to net, where you just hit him in the head with a racket.
Only thing worse if you just shoot him straight up.
Exactly. So like we made it fun always, and that's what was great. And I think also that all those kids, the 50 kids at the club that I grew up at, those 50 kids, were not, the next Rafa, but they loved tennis. They loved their time there. We have great friendships from that. Yeah. And I think that there's a lot of kids, that are maybe in these academies, that they look back at their time from 7 to 14 years old, like, wow, I really just was grinding had no fun and no childhood. And those are the best memories of my life were my young childhood. And it was probably because I wasn't like, stuck into the...
So you're saying USC is overrated, huh? Should have gone to UCLA.
Should have hung out with me at UCLA.
Actually, I watched a video of Evan the other day on YouTube, and I didn't know who he was playing against, but he told me he was playing against you in the finals of dubs in Pac-12, right?
Oh, he told me about this. I was going crazy.
Evan and I would play in dubs all the time. He would play with Martin Redlicki. Yeah, and I would play with Riley Smith. We played Evan
every single time. Literally every single time.
What was that? Was that rivalry actual hate, or was it just like...
For me, it was never hate. I've honestly had like no hate with people
you can't hate anyone
until they cheat me,
nice.
and then I hate them.
Oh, okay.
There's people that I hate, but it's only when like they start being a bad sport, or they're like just not nice people. But I mean, the UCLA guys I got along with great, and sports they're supposed to be like competitive. Like if someone's screaming in your face, like that's fine. Like they're trying to win. You know what I mean? And I think that's great. But when you cross like a threshold of being completely disrespectful or whatever. And I never really felt that like at when playing UCLA or when playing like most schools, and so there was definitely a rivalry. Like Coach Peter Smith, if you lost to UCLA, like it was your night was over. Like, and that was amazing. Like he, whether it was in the fall or during the actual season, like losing to UCLA, it was like you gotta cut your leg off. At the end of that
Same for us, yeah.
And I mean, Peter was an amazing coach. Like he brought the best out of people. he was also super confident as a coach, and so you kind of felt like he's got my back, I've got his back, and he had confidence in his players. But yeah, I mean, playing UCLA, you knew you had to win, otherwise you were in for some heat.
Any funny stories from school?
Way too many. Like, I don't know where to start. A lot of fun stories. Yeah, I don't know. On the court, off the court, just USC was just an insanely fun, awesome place, and I miss it a lot. My younger brother's in school there. My older brother went there, so I still go back sometimes to like tailgates and stuff because my younger brother's there. So
that's all you know about the Red Cup, huh? The Red Cup test. Okay, quickly before we go, so you talked about from the last question about goals. Can you, I guess, talk to us a little bit about how you set goals? Like, for example, like this. Whenever your year comes to an end, now you have the off season coming up. Like, do you sit down and reevaluate the year and like set goals for the next year? Like, what's that process like for you?
Yeah, I think I'm really weird when it comes to that because, I almost enjoy like the process of getting better, like more than even actually like getting better, or more than actually winning. If that makes sense.
Like the results.
Like, I find myself a lot not happy when I lose, but it's like you get to go back to a drawing board and like work really hard towards a goal that is, maybe short term, maybe long term. But like, for example, even now I'm playing this tournament. It may be my last tournament of the year, but I'm already like super excited and kind of know what I want to do in the off season and what I did wrong last time, what I can do better, and what specific things I need to work on, what areas of fitness that I want to do in this off season. And so it's almost like the moment that I lose, I'm going to be, I won't be happy, but like I'm going to be boom, like right away, like into the next step, which is almost more fun for me. Like the waking up early, like the grinding, like that is so much fun. And sometimes it's like, I'm bummed at how, like those of you that have watched me play, I'm pretty like this. And so if I lose a match, you can come up to me right after. I'm usually like, fine. If I win a match, I'm like this too. And sometimes I'm bummed, like when I do have a huge win, it's like, it's almost like, oh, I won. But then like, what's next? Like every single time. So I'd never really have that high feeling because it's always just like this process for me. But I love the process. Like the process is so much fun.
But is that a process to get to an ultimate goal, or you don't set like a?
I mean, I think the ultimate goal is to be as good as you can possibly be, and it's hard to really like put a name on it. Like what would you consider would be a failure in your career? Like what like number next to your name would be like a failure? It's like hard to like put that. Like if you're like 40 in the world, are you a failure? If you're like 120, are you a failure? That's like hard. It's more like, for me, it's like if you run out of juice, then like you run out of juice. But like along the way, like you just work as hard as you possibly can. And I have no like reservations of trying to do that, and I like really enjoy it, and I always have. It's been like something that I needed people to show me how to do. Like there's a few people like Connor Hans played at UCLA, and when I was young, like he was way better than me, and he worked really hard, and I learned like from him that like instantly when you work hard, you have results of like better results. And then in college, Logan Smith was insanely hardworking, so I would just do everything he did and more, and ultimately that led to more and more success. And so yeah, that kind of that by yourself time when you could do nothing but you choose to try and do everything is for me like the actual winning. And for some reason that's a lot of fun for me. I don't know.
I'm excited for that, for me too, that this off season, like it's gonna be my first off season where I'm focusing primarily on doubles, and I feel like it's almost a new chapter in my career. And then also like talking about having fun and enjoying it, that's something that I started doing recently the last couple of months. Like I don't know, I used to be I feel guilty a lot of the times, like if I do certain things, if I don't do certain things, but now I'm just like, it's okay to have a different practice than you did before, just to enjoy a session and not like, I don't know, take it too seriously and that sort of stuff. And I feel like that's paid off, like in my results and in my mood, like off the court, I've been a lot happier. So I'm also excited to go through a new process in the off season too. I don't know how you feel going into your off season, but
yeah, I just need to get better at tennis.
Don't we all? Don't we all? But yeah, it is kind of cool because like you're saying, like focusing on doubles, it's like when you see a month, like how much you can improve in a month. Like I would imagine that you're thinking like how much. Like I kind of suck at doubles, like for some reason. Like I suck at those volleys where you just like hit them to the side. You know what I mean?
I heard you make a joke at Delray. Like you were saying something about the doubles guys, how easy it is for them to just get on top of the net and just put those balls away.
Like it's insane. It's like they're playing a different sport. Like you play against them and you're warming up with them. Like, all right, this is gonna be good. And then like they serve and volley, you hit a sick return, they hit like a topspin volley down the line. You're like, wait, what's going on here? Like, do you practice that? Like, and they're just like doing this thing. So like it's a totally different game than college doubles. Like college doubles, you're hitting like. It's like 2 at the net, like you're building the Great Wall of China up there. You're just like not missing, and then like back there, they're just like ripping at you. But in the pros, it's like serve, and they like that.
Yeah,
they're just like like this. But like, how much could you improve? Like in a whole entire month, if you do that every single day, like work on this volley, and that volley, like to know that the next season you're gonna start out like with that, like how much better you're gonna be.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like
this.
If Evan wants to work on whatever, like he obviously doesn't need to work on his backhand down line because he's a winner on it every time. But like if he wanted to, like if he practiced that for a whole entire month, like how sick would that shot be?
Yeah.
So.
Do you know what you want to focus on? Have some ideas?
Fitness, because I have learned like what not to do. Like last year, I feel like I made some mistakes like fitness wise, and I think this year I want to do a lot more fitness. Like not that I didn't do enough fitness before, but I think it was like a different kind of fitness than I want to do this year. Like I need to get a lot stronger with my arms because I need to make my arms stronger. I want to run like a lot of stairs and get a lot of like really good cardio shape, and I think if you do like a month of that, then you're gonna be in very good shape for Australia if I happen to go.
How different do you think the 3 out of 5 is?
It's different, but
and did you do anything like different to try and prepare for the like 3 out of 5s or?
What's
no,
a question?
I mean, there's nothing. There's nothing you can really do.
Hey, thanks.
Like,
man.
I don't know what you're gonna be able to do to like prepare for that other than mentally, but. Yeah, I think I played 3 out of 5 matches. I won one in the first round of Australia, and then I lost 2 5-setters. I played 3 5-setters, and the one in the U.S. Open was like it was so hot. It was like 100 degrees. Like they have those like coolers where you turn them on and like blows air. It's like every change I'm like shoving that thing like so far into my shirt, I'm like blowing it on my face. And I'm trying not to die out there. But I lost 7-6 in the 5th, and I like felt fine. I was tired afterwards, but I had some time off, so I probably did a horrible job of like recovery. But I was definitely sore for the next like day or two. But I felt totally fine. Like it didn't feel that different. I think that maybe mentally you are a little bit prepared for. It's like when you're playing, in the 3rd set, it's 1 set all. It doesn't feel like the end, so you're not like as quite as like maybe like tense and pent up. Like sometimes I feel like when your legs slow down when it's like deep in the 3rd or you're serving it out, you know what I mean? But like if you're serving for the 3rd set in a 3 out of 5, it's a lot different than serving for the 5th set. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Got you. All right. Well, anything else? Any more secret questions you have lined up?
That was my last secret question, believe it or not. But
is it a secret?
All right, Brandon, thank you for coming on.
Of course, had fun.
Enjoy it. Everyone follow Brandon on Instagram. And I was going to say follow the My Tennis Life, but you lost that one. So
yeah, you can see those videos. I don't know when they come out. I think
they're not out yet.
One of them maybe came out, but I think there's another one coming out soon.
Let's see if we can get this podcast out before they do. So yeah, thanks for coming on. Good luck this week, and good luck with the off season next year.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching. See you next week.